Hey, what's up, everybody? This is part two of the crypto apocalypse. I mean, we are seriously having a big dump today, and I think we're finishing here. So, we have one, two, we have three, we have four, and we have five. Um, I don't know when this fifth wave is going to end, but I can tell you what, there's a couple ways we could look at this, right? You have one, two, three, four, and then five. That whole thing can be one wave. So if that's one, two, then you still need a four, and then you get a five later on, maybe in the summer. So I think that's what's playing here, because this is definitely by far the most bearish January, February, March we've ever had. Pretty much, because in March over here, we were pretty much flying up in February. February over here, I mean, it's just been nothing but down. So, um, like I said in my last video, there's two ways this can happen for theta. Number one, we get three waves up, which we have, and we get three waves down, which we're getting. And the three waves down can come down a lot further, just depends. But then ultimately, what we would look for is a five wave move back up, which means this is a bigger three wave move like that. So then what you would have is you would have five down, there's an A, three up, there's a B, and then you would have to come down again or into reaccumulation or even down here. So one of those options down here for a C. So, but like I said, if I'm Trump, if I'm the president, I would want the market to crash now to reset itself for the future. So, but yeah, this thing's coming down pretty aggressively here. Let's see. Let's look at the small time frames. I mean, wait. Recently, we had five waves, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's see if we get a three-way pullback and then a continuation. So definitely bearish. But you got five waves here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. You also got 5 in that wave over there. So that doesn't mean the low is in. That doesn't mean we're going to reverse. That just means we should look for a bounce coming soon. Yeah, so 1, 2, right? And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 3. And then we have 4 and then 5. So 1, 2, all of that's 3, 4, and then 5, and then we have 5 here. I mean, but here's the thing, I don't know if that's necessarily the count, because the reason why is because this could also be a 1, 2, 1, 2, right? A 1, 2. Basically, you're bottlenecking in a nest of 1, 2s, and you're going to drop off a cliff. So is it a five wave count, or is it a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2? Right? Is it a diag, or is it a 1, 2, 1, 2? If it's a 1, 2, 1, 2, then we're 1, 2ing for the fifth. So that's definitely a concern. But yeah, we've completely broken back below our back test zone, which was over here, right? That's the zone to stay bullish, right? We're bullish above the line, we're bearish below the line. So, but anyway, you slice it here, look at this. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's get 6. Let's get 7. Something kind of comparable to that, right? So, but let's look at the stock market here, because again, we could have a big meltdown here. Let's look at the Dow. Oh yeah, that looks bearish, man. That looks probably coming back to that trend line there that I have drawn from way, let's see, let's go to the monthly. And is it touching the line? It's touching the line. Yeah, so there's your line there. I mean, look at the stock market, guys. I mean, this goes back 100 years, man. And look what we've been doing ever since the Great Depression, right? You got 1, 2, you got 3, 4, you got 5, you got 6, and you got 7. So you have a completed move there. I mean, we've been going up for the last 100 years, man. So, yeah, that was in 1929 when we had that crash. So almost 100 years we've been going up, 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 up. Right. And I think we're still going to do that so long as we're in the current economic system here. So you can see on the smaller time frame, we have probably 1 flag out for 2, you get 3, you flag out for 4, and then you get 5. Maybe 1 more push, right? But if I'm Trump, I want the market to come down. That way I have more time, because I only have 4 years, right? So I want as much time as possible for the market to go up, but I need the market to come down so that interest rates can come down so that we can refinance the debt. But then also we could have crypto come down, right? And then the government potentially could accumulate very cheap crypto prices, right? Because if you're going to have a strategic reserve, if you're going to have the ETF, if you're going to have regulations, that means the big guys want to get in, right? So we don't even have regulations yet in the crypto market. So, I mean, we're still very, 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 very early, guys. So if you think this is the end of crypto, then I feel bad, because I don't think so. You could see others, right? You had a 5-wave move here. It looks complete. So we have a rise, we have a crash, we have a retrace. We're probably got to go into reaccumulation, because this is what XRP has done here. So if we look at XRP, or not even XRP, let's look at Bitcoin, right? You can see what happened back in the day. So this is how it goes down, right? You have a rise, a crash, rise. Come on now. You have a rise, you have a crash, you have a retrace, you have a retrace, and then you swing down, and then you swing sideways, swing down, then swing sideways, and then blast off, right? Because you got to also understand the crypto market has been going up for the last 2 years. But it doesn't feel like that at all. It doesn't feel like that, but it's true. Look, we started right here, 2023. Okay? So we went all the way up, 2024. For a whole year, we were going up. And then 2024, all the way to 2025. So we've been going up literally for over 2 years. Up, 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 up for 2 years. So it makes sense, right, that we have this issue coming up. And we also have divergence, bearish divergence. There it is right there. We talked about that. And we talked about the real possibility of this having to go into reaccumulation. So I don't think we're going to get like an A, B, C way down here. I don't think that, unless we have a complete cyber attack, financial reset, right? We have a big, big reset where they basically rug pull the world's liquidity, right? Because, global markets have all the liquidity. So they can rug pull all the liquidity and then basically flatten out the market. Like the Hiroshima bomb just flattened out a city, man. So they can flatten out the market easily. just by taking out all the liquidity. So we have this trend line here. I mean, we're right on it, but you can actually, it's a little subjective, but, and then we also have some support down here, support there. Yeah, so there you go. So that's probably where we're coming down. So it looks like this was the fifth, because the way I looked at it is 1, 2, 1, 2. This is 3. Let's get 4. Then let's get 5. Then come down, right? But obviously that didn't happen. So can't get it all right, you know. That's why we, you know, explore the ideas, try to figure it out. But if I had to imagine, we're probably coming down here. So we probably still have another $80 billion to go. Theta versus Bitcoin is collapsing. Ethereum is collapsing. But Ethereum looks interesting because it looks to me, you know, that, you know, I like Ethereum in the sense that we should get some kind of pullback in here, right? Maybe we have to come down again and then do something like that, something long and brutal, right? Exactly what XRP went through back in the day, right? So if I put up here, right? So here's Ethereum, right? So boom, 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 sideways, boom, 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 sideways, then blast off, right? So let's see, let's go to XRP. And if you notice, that's not the right chart. If you notice on the XRP chart, right in those yellow boxes, that's probably what we have to do now, right? So we have to probably go down into that reaccumulation situation. So that's kind of where we are here, right? So we had our rise, our crash, rise, crash. This is the retrace. This is the retrace. And then we had 3 waves down into reaccumulation. Look at this. We're getting 3 waves down into reaccumulation. And look what happened after that. We went sideways for so long, man. So I don't think it's going to be that long, but I think it's going to be maybe up to 6 months to a year before going up. So this is the bearish idea, right? This is the bearish idea, but essentially it's a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. Same thing with XRP. But the question becomes then, well, what happens to XRP, right? If it has to come down? Well, then this was 5 waves, and then we should get, you know, some kind of bigger flag here, right? I think we're going to get a flag, something like that, then start to take off, right? I put it this way, XRP is not finished, okay? It is still going to go higher, but we might need to flag out for a little while. Maybe it takes all summer. Maybe we have to go down to $1.50 or maybe even $1.30, right? The lowest I want to see it go is 90 cents. I don't want to see it go below that. So if we have to come back down and retest this area, right? Kind of like a 1, 2, and then we have another 1 and then another 2, and then here's your trend line here, and then we can build off. Then guess what? I'm no longer looking at an $8, $9 target anymore. Hell no. There's no way. If we have to come down here, XRP cannot go to 9 or 10 bucks. It's just not going to happen. You know where it's going to go? It's going to go to like 15 or 20 bucks. All right. The reason why is because it's all about momentum. If we had another push up, that's 10, 11, 8, 9, 10, 11 bucks. But if we have to come all the way back down here, that's going to reset a lot of momentum. And then once we push higher, then we're coming, you know, we were coming from here. Now we're coming from way up here. So now we have more gas in the tank to get to that $15 area. which I think is coming, because the structure is still the same, right? The structure is beautiful. Remember, we are going through a transition, but at the same time, right, you have the banking system, it's all messed up, cracks in the system. And then you have the crypto system. We're transitioning to this system. The crypto system is running parallel to the traditional financial system, but nobody realizes the problems of the current financial system. So as it starts to break down and deteriorate, as we get market crashes, as we get all these problems, and as I'm saying that XRP is at $2. So I think, we're teasing the lows down here. Are we going to break it? We'll find out. I don't think it's just going to break now. You probably need a little bit of a bounce first and then come down. We'll see how it all plays out, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, the market needs a lot of work. Litecoin's coming down. I mean, you got 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, we could be very close to a local bottom. You can see THETA is still dropping pretty good. So let's just sit back and chill out here. So to me, we have to understand crypto's not going anywhere, right? We're going to have new all-time highs, right? This goes back to becoming rich. If you, for example, let's say THETA goes to $50, are you going to be a millionaire? Right? Or let's say Filecoin goes to that, or let's say XRP goes to that. Are you going to be a millionaire? Well, if you're not, then this is a good thing, right? Because you still have your job, right? You're still working, you're still earning a paycheck. Put the paycheck in there, a percent of the paycheck, right? Let's say it's 4% of your paycheck, 4% there, 4% there, 4% there, 4% there, 4% there, 4% there, 4% there. Over time, you're going to have so much. And by the time we get up here, you're going to be so rich. You're going to be just freaking out, man. And that's just that's the reality. And that's how I play it with XRP, right? So, is this coming into a big bear market and we have to come down here? Well, if that's the case, then hey, let's back up the truck and load up. Let's check Monero. Monero is actually not too bad. Monero is still holding up nicely. I mean, it's creating a flat here, but it's still way above its lows. So Monero actually looks pretty decent. So far, right? Bitcoin's still coming down. I think at this point it needs to come down and backtest. All right. So let's wait for that to come down and backtest. And then from there we'll see what happens. But we have to understand, we still have the ETF XRP. We still have the regulations, we still have the strategic reserve, we still have Trump's plans. We still have the economic transition, but it's just it's going to be a rocky road, right? You have this big wall, right? And this is the Federal Reserve, the financial system, all of the debt, all of the corruption, all of the deep state, all of the crooked politicians, all of the people who want crypto to fail, right? You have all of the Democrats, right? The Republicans. You have all the problems, the financial problems in the economy. So Trump has to break down the wall. He has to break down this wall so that we can get to the other side. What's on the other side? Crypto, right? We got XRP, Bitcoin, we got, we got gold, right? We got all the stuff over here. And all of this stuff is going to survive. It's going to thrive. But first, we have to get through that wall. And I think that's what Trump is doing. He's punching through that wall. But in order to do that, we need the market to come down, right? So that interest rates can come down. So there's a lot of planning that's going into this. But I think that's why Trump is moving fast. You know, he just became president a couple months ago. So I think that's why he's doing it now, so we can get it out of the way. So, yeah, let's see how it plays out. Try to preserve your capital, and then we can go in and invest once we have a real bottom. So we'll see how it plays out. Stay safe, everyone, and watch the Money Masters. I know it's long, and maybe it could be a little bit boring, but I think it's really, really good. It's really good. And actually, let's play a little bit here.
Lending, it was transformed into loans to private investors who then bought the remaining 80% of the shares. Just as before, the primary stockholders remained a secret. But it is known that the largest block of shares, about 1/3 of the total, were sold to foreigners. As one observer put it, it is certainly no exaggeration to say that the Second Bank of the United States was rooted as deeply in Britain as it was in America. So, by 1816, some authors claim the Rothschilds had taken control over the Bank of England and backed a new, privately owned central bank in America as well. After 12 years of manipulations of the U.S. economy on the part of the Second Bank of the U.S., the American people had had just about enough. Opponents of the bank nominated a dignified senator from Tennessee, Andrew Jackson, the hero of the Battle of New Orleans, to run for president. This is his home, the Hermitage. No one gave Jackson a chance initially. The bank had long ago learned how the political process could be controlled with money. To the surprise and dismay of the money changers, Jackson was swept into office in 1828. Jackson was determined to kill the bank at the first opportunity and wasted no time in trying to do so.
And that is exactly what Trump is trying to do now. He is not wasting any time, right? This is who was hanging up in the Oval Office next to Trump? Well, would you look at that? Andrew Jackson. He could have, his Oval Office is right here. I mean, the desk is right here. And this is the first portrait you see, right? So who was that? That was Andrew Jackson. What was Andrew Jackson known for? Killing the banks. This is a message. This is a message to the central banks. All right. Trump is going to expose the banks because that is the problem with the financial system. It's all about the central banks printing money. They loan it to us with interest attached. I mean, what gives them the right to create money out of thin air? Right? It's not backed by anything. The Federal Reserve is not federal and it has no reserves. There's no reserves. Right? That's why we need to get the Fort Knox gold. That's why we need to reset the market. And then by that time, we need to kill the central bank so that we can transition away from it. Because we have gold and we have crypto. We have everything needed to destroy the banks. So it's all a matter of time before that happens. And during this process, we're going to see markets come down. And that's what we're seeing. But I believed, and I still kind of believe, that we could have one more wave up for XRP before we have that big transition. Because I've been talking about the transition since 2017. Right? I didn't know if it was going to happen in his first term or his second term. I thought maybe his first. But then once Joe Biden stole it, then I thought, okay, he's going to come back and then we're going to get it done. Because, you only have four years left. So it has to happen this term. So in the next 4 years, the Federal Reserve is going to be completely different. Because the way they're saying, oh, let's audit the gold in Fort Knox. Well, guess what? Guess who else they're going to audit? They're going to audit the Fed. But it's not time. They're not going to call for audits of the Fed yet. They're going to wait until the Fed really screws stuff up. Because they're going to try to blame this on Trump. That's why Trump wants it to happen really, really fast. Because let's say it happened in a year from now, then they're going to say, oh, well, then they can really blame it on Trump, right? But if it happens now, then you can more so blame it on Biden. But it's not about blaming it on anyone. It's more so blaming it on the Federal Reserve. So I think once we do see a lot of action, you're going to see Trump come out calling, because he wants the market to come down so that he can tell the Fed, hey, lower the rates, right? And then you get to lower the rates, you refinance the debt. But then by that point, I don't know exactly how it plays out. I believe there's going to be some things that we don't even see coming, and that's going to add fuel to the fire to audit the Fed and to transition away from the current system, the monopoly, right? It's a complete monopoly. And if you watch the Money Masters, that's basically what it is. The Federal Reserve has a monopoly to print over the American people. So that's why crypto is so important, because it gives people the option. Hey, I don't want to use Bitcoin. I don't want to use XRP. I want to use XLM. I don't want to use XLM. I want to use Avalanche. I don't want to use Avalanche. I want to use, Dogecoin, right? I mean, it gives people options, right? So, and then the utility aspect of crypto is going to be really, really important as well. So all of this is coming. So over the next 4 years, it's going to be really really interesting. In the meantime, I want you guys to listen to this. So if you go to Rumble and you watch the X22 report, he's got almost 1 million subscribers, guys. This guy knows exactly what's going on, okay? This is all right here. Financial. Confirm we will go through a detox to usher in the new system, right? Central bank, deep state, panic, Lutnick, stock market, not driving outcomes for Trump. There's a financial part, and then there's a economic part, right? Here's a good one. The economic transition has begun, okay? Well, listen to this. You got to watch these videos. This guy knows what he's talking about.
This is the TCG.
So,
State, the corrupt politicians, the private Western Central Bank.
Now, if you listen to this real quick here.
The private Western Central Bank, the World Economic Forum. They are already preparing the narrative. And as you can see, Trump, he's already begun the economic transition. And you can see that he is now placing tariffs on all different countries, ranging from 10% all the way up to 25%. He's also placing reciprocal tariffs on these countries, which means he has begun the process of transitioning this economic system from a central bank system into a people-run system where we're going to fund everything, not via our wealth, where they take our hard-earned money as we work harder and harder and harder. We are going to fund everything from the outside. Now, nobody said that this journey was going to be easy. The transition was just going to be a snap of a finger, and we were going to switch over. We've always known that this was going.
And here's another problem. So we don't want to take all our gold and pay off the debt, right? That's why we need gold to be at a much higher price. That's why we need crypto to be at a much higher price. So that's where it's a little bit confusing. Do we get a big move up and then we can settle the debt that way? Or do we get a big crash, right? And then we start to build off of that. Or maybe it's a mixture of both. Maybe, there's a lot of moving parts here we have to understand. But the grassroots of the whole issue is transitioning us from the old system to the new system. But in order to do that, you need people to ask for the system, because Trump doesn't just go out and do it. People have to beg for it. And how do you get people to beg for it? By ruining people's, recession, people losing jobs, unemployment, problems, right? Financial situations. So
was going to be bumpy. We've always known that there was going to be hurdles, and we've always known that the deep state players, the central banks, they were going to try to stop this every chance they could get. And we're already seeing that right now. And it seems that they've already begun the narrative of trying to convince people that everything that Trump is doing is going to hurt the economy. Now, in the short run,
right, they're trying to convince everyone that it's Trump's doing. It's the tariffs, it's this, it's that, it's what he's doing. That's why the market's coming down. But in reality, it's the Fed. It's the whole economic agenda. Because remember, Fed Powell, they were, we don't have a recession. We're good. But then as soon as Trump won, now we have to we don't want to lower rates anymore. We might have a recession. You know, they completely changed, right? But that's because they know what he's about, and not too many people do.
Short run, it might seem that way, but in the long run, and I don't believe we're going to have to wait that long, we're going to see things really improve. But again, what does the deep state, the central bank, have to do? They have to push the narrative really, really hard. And you can see that's exactly what they're planning to do. And they're already calling for a recession. Now, we've been saying this for a very long time. The U.S. has been in a recession for quite a while. And when the data actually comes back and people look at the data, you're going to see that we've been in a recession for quite a while. But again, what has the central bank, what has the deep state players, what have they done here? They held everything back, and they're going to unleash it when Trump pushes his policies, which he's already started to do. And you can see that they're already...
There you go. So the deep state also has some ammunition, and they're going to release it, right? They're going to try, because that's what the deep state wants. They want to crash the market. They want to kill everything. They want to destroy it and blame Trump so that they can impeach him and everyone revolts around him. But that's not going to work. It's going to backfire on them, because Trump is counting on them to do that, because once they do push the market down and cause complete turmoil and chaos, then that's when Trump will come out and say, see, look what they did. You know, look what's been going on. Then they're going to say, look, well, you're the president. How come you didn't fix it? And then he said, well, it's the system itself, right? The Federal Reserve system needs to go. So
already building this narrative, and they're right on schedule. They couldn't do it in January. He just got into office. They needed to wait for him to start to implement his policies that will start with the narrative that, ooh, this could cause a recession. And then probably around May, June or so, around this time frame, maybe a little bit later, maybe a little bit earlier, you're going to see that they're going to be reporting that we're heading into a recession. Now, like we said before, we've been in a recession. This is what you're experiencing right now. They just want to use it on Trump. Plus, they're trying to let everyone know that his tax cuts, well, this is going to hurt the everyday Americans. And you can see the Hill put this out saying Trump lies on tax cuts are another gut punch to America's working class. Really, that's very interesting, because the $4.5 trillion in tax cuts is a continuation of his tax cuts that were going to expire. Remember, he started this back in 2017. So this is the TCJA, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So my question to all these individuals who are saying he's going to, hurt the everyday person, why didn't Biden get rid of it? Why didn't he shut it down? Because he always knew that if he did this, that everyone would notice that, wait a minute, why are my taxes going up? Trump was right. That's why he never touched it, because everyone would see the truth. So what would happen if we didn't have the tax cuts? Well, the TCJA, they lowered the rates across all brackets. For example, the 15% bracket dropped to 12%, and the 25% bracket became 22%. If it expires, rates revert to pre-2017 levels, 10, 15, 25, 28, 33, 35, 39.6. So a single filer earning $50,000 in 2025, for instance, would see their marginal rate jump from 22 to 25, increasing their tax bill by a few $100s annually. So let's talk about deductions. The TCJA nearly doubled the $13,850 for singles and $27,700 for married couples in 2023. Post-expiration, it drops back down around $6,350 and $12,700. Biden, when he was put into the White House as the president, he increased everything. Now everything's going to drop while the tariffs come into place, and people, they're going to actually probably make out, because they're going to have a lot more money in their pocket to combat what Trump is about to do. And I do believe his entire strategy is to make it a lot easier for us to transition. Now, nobody said this was going to be easy. Nobody said it was going to be like turning on a light switch. We're moving from a central bank system back into a people system. So there are going to be bumps in the road. And you can see already, Trump is already moving forward with mining for U.S. rare earth minerals. He wants to expand on this. And he announced a massive Alaska natural gas line. So we're going to be tapping our natural resources in this country. And like Trump said from the very, very beginning, we have black liquid gold under our feet. And when he starts to tap all this liquid gold, you're going to see energy really drop, which means that the production, shipping, and everything else is going to come way, way down. And this is how he's going to counter everything that we're seeing. Now, let's add on top of that, when he starts removing the taxes, when we start to say, you know what, no taxes on tips, no taxes on Social Security, no taxes on overtime, are people going to have a lot more money in their pocket? Absolutely. And actually, AOC did say something that was halfway decent. Yes, I'm going to give her credit for this. She said, what happens if every employer says, oh, your salary is $1 and everything else is tips? I mean, that's really interesting. I mean, really, can that happen? But that is an interesting theory. Can you imagine that? The employer says, I'm paying you $1 salary. Oh, and the rest, I'm going to give you it as a tip. Great work. You wouldn't be taxed, would you? But I think in the end, what Trump is going to do, he's going to remove the taxes that we have today, and that is going to put even more money back into our pocket. So I do believe his strategy is sound, and we're moving forward. Plus, what he's doing right now is he's setting up the alternative currency. Now, I do believe that we're going to be having a national currency, and we're going to have an international currency where we'll be able to swap these back and forth. And to have both of these, I do believe that we have to remove the manipulation on gold to match Bitcoin. Now, I'm not saying it's going to match it dollar for dollar, but I do believe that we're going to get pretty darn close. And this way, gold can keep up with Bitcoin, and the exchange won't be that bad. Because again, if you're shifting from Bitcoin and having international transactions, I do believe this can be done. Just like when you go to another country and you shift your currency into their currency and back and forth. So I do believe Trump is setting up the alternative currency right now. I do believe the globalization apparatus that they put into place is completely and utterly falling apart, which means every single nation now is going to have to go back and look inside and actually establish their national system instead of relying on the globalized system. And you're going to see every single country do this. And what's very interesting is that Commerce Secretary says that Trump will unveil a Bitcoin reserve.
And that's another reason why it's so important, is because it gives people options to opt out of the system, right? You have Bitcoin and things like that. So it's just going to have more competition between currencies, right? So do you want to pay off the debt, using a gold-backed currency or using the fiat currency, right? You want to pay it off with leverage, right? So I think Trump is, he's the art of the deal. It's art of war, right? This is all boiling down to the money system, and crypto's a big, big part of it. And we're seeing a big move down. However, it's not going to last forever. This is, I've been through hundreds of these things. It's, it is what it is. It's more so a time consuming thing, right? If you look at it like, oh, you lost, then you aren't looking at the bigger picture, right? Yes, your portfolio is going down, your HODL, but it's not going to go down forever. Eventually, it's going to go back up, and it's going to go back up way stronger and better than ever before. But we need to fix the current problem that's created all of these bubbles in the first place, right? So,
reserve strategy at the White House Crypto Summit. So this is going to be very, very interesting because we know that they're setting up the reserves, and they're setting up the crypto reserves, which is XRP, ADA, Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin. That's all going to be in the basket. I do believe he's going to elaborate on all of this. We also know that we have a gold reserve system, which is going to be used later on. I do believe this is why he's establishing the idea that we need to go look at Fort Knox. We got to make sure that we have the gold in this country. And I do believe he put that narrative out there to make people think, to start the narrative of shifting away from the central bank fiat currency and moving into the alternative currencies. And I do believe that we will probably function with both, because remember, they're both decentralized. They both take energy to mine them. And there's a finite store of these currencies compared to the central bank. It takes absolutely no energy. They push a button and says, how much you want? Trillion? Done. There was no energy. Nothing was done. And it's unlimited. And it's centralized. So I do believe he's preparing and getting everything ready for the future. And it looks like the economic transition has already begun.
Exactly. I mean, he's spelling it out perfectly. This is exactly what I've been thinking all along. I mean, he really knows how to pick apart and look from a 30,000 foot view to see exactly, all the chess moves occurring right before us, right? And it all revolves around sound money, right? Bitcoin, gold. So remember, Trump said, are we going to pay off the debt with a little crypto check? I mean, he said that. So he said it jokingly, but I think he's serious in that sense. So
already begun. It's going to be a little bumpy, but I do believe in the end, you're going to see improvement after improvement after improvement. And what's going to happen is the fake news, the economists, the central bank, they're going to lose the narrative. And this is why they're going to move very, very quickly in the very, very beginning, because as time goes on, they will not be able to keep this narrative up, because when people experience the economy getting better and people see it and people start to realize, yeah, something, everything he's saying doesn't make any sense, no one's going to listen to them anymore. Trump knows this. What he knows is he needs just to get through this small little window. Once he's through this window, the gates just open and we're off and running. And he knows the fake news, the central bankers, the economists, everyone that's been yelling and screaming, it all falls apart on them. Every argument falls apart. And I do believe by the end of this year, I mean, we're going to be, that's when the gates are open, but throughout this year, we're going to see improvements. Now, remember, there's going to be that small window, and you can see already that they're building up the narrative that it's coming very, very soon. But once we get through it, it's going to be a complete and utter game changer. And the central bank, the deep state players, they will not know how to react to this. And the people, they're going to say, keep going. We don't want the central bank anymore. We don't want to go back to that. And Trump will make the case. Or maybe someone in Congress will make the case. We need to look at the Federal Reserve. We need to audit everything. And we already know that Elon has already said we will audit the Federal Reserve, because they're going to already audit the IRS. They're going to audit the Federal Reserve. And I think at that point in time, all of this is going to be removed. And what we have to do to complete the entire mission.
And what's going to happen when they find the audit, right? When they audit the Fed and they audit the IRS and they audit the everything else, they're going to find a lot of problems, right? And those problems are going to spark outrage. And outrage is going to spark change. And change is going to course through Congress. They're going to be calling the senators, the congressmen, hey, we don't want this, we want to change it, right? It's call to action, right? They're going to be calling for changes, and that's exactly what we're going to see. And then we're going to see the tide shift, because in order for people to get angry and mad, you got to have an event, something that takes away, right? So if you have a big economic problem, recession, stock market crash, crypto crash, all that stuff, people are going to be outraged. Why did this happen? How come it's crashing? Blah, blah, blah. Well, let's audit the Fed. Look what they did. Look at this. Look at this. Doesn't match up. They're liars. They're cheaters. They're thieves, right? Andrew Jackson was right all along. The central banks is nothing but a den of vipers and thieves, right? So once they uncover all of this and the outrage pours in, what do you think's going to happen? Solutions, right? Well, how could we fix it? What could we do? What could be an alternative? Well, there's that word, alternative. Crypto, altcoins, right? What could be the alternative? Gold, Bitcoin, crypto, right? So, but first we need the crash, the economic recession, then we need the outrage, then we need people yelling and screaming about change. And then once that happens, then people are going to give solutions. Well, how could we, the Federal Reserve ripped us off here. If we look at their books, they did this and this and this, and they screwed us over on this. So how could we fix that this never happens again? Well, maybe we make the Federal Reserve, we nationalize the Federal Reserve. Maybe we have a gold-backed currency that puts the Federal Reserve into checks and balances, because they don't have any checks and balances. They do whatever they want, right? They basically have a blank check, and they can do anything they want to our money system, right? And it's not even their money, it's our money, yet we have to pay them for it, right? Basically, that is a total scam. That's why we have all of these problems, because the money that we owe them back doesn't exist. So we're constantly having to pay payments that is basically just pouring us underwater. And then in return, what do people do? They take out loans, they take out leverage. That's why you have all the computers, derivatives, high frequency trading, all of the crap that manipulates the markets, right? That's the problem. We don't have free and fair markets. We have distorted markets. The reason why is because of the financial system we live in, right? That's the whole point. And that's going to spark the outrage so that we can change the system to a new system, right? And it's not going to be a big change. I mean, yeah, it will be, but it's more so going to be taking power away from them and distributing it through we the people, or making it completely decentralized where we don't have to trust a banker to do the right thing, right? So,
is get rid of the Federal Reserve Act, and we need to remove the 16th Amendment. And I do believe that is going to come, because once people experience no taxes, cheap energy, and we have a manufacturing renaissance.
Right, and that's another thing too, is taxes. Once you get rid of the taxes, people are going to have a lot more money. Once you get rid of inflation, people are going to have a lot more money. Once you transition the currency to a gold-backed currency, people are going to have a lot more money, because their money is going to be more powerful, right? It's going to have better purchasing power. So the government is just basically stealing our money through inflation and through taxes. And that's why we have all of these problems. So,
and the country is booming. I don't think it's going to be a problem whatsoever to get the states to say, you know what, let's remove the 16th. And this will then make it very, very difficult for the deep state players to usher in another central bank. And I do believe this is what has to happen. I do believe this is the direction that we're heading in. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.
So let's take a look quickly at XRP here. We were at $2, and then we kind of spiked a little bit. So let's see. Yeah, I still don't really. Yeah, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe we have a short-term bounce coming in here soon. yeah, if this is a three-way move and it's finished, I mean, here's a low, here's a higher low. I mean, we really need to start turning around here soon. So let's see if we can accomplish that. But anyways, that'll do it for this video. Remember, it's not financial advice. I could be wrong, but really the ideas come down to: is this a flat and this is a 1-2 and we're gonna go, or is this a 1 and this is a 2 and then we're gonna get a 3 and then go later? I don't know. We'll find out. So I mean, it's really, 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 really tough right now, because if I'm just looking at the chart, I'm thinking you have this futures gap here. Look at this. So you have a gap right here that hasn't been filled. So maybe we have to come down and fill it later on. But I think a bounce is coming. But the reason it's difficult is because of the Trump's plan, right? The transition. How does that look in regards to, do we crash? Do we have to have a collapse before we can turn around and get going again? Or do we get one more high, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we collapse and burn before we go up again, right? So it's kind of like, it's going to be one of those options. But one thing is for sure, when we look at the total chart of XRP here, it's still very, 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 very bullish, right? We're basically just bouncing off the side here. So we haven't broke down yet. And until we do, we have to assume we're going to hold here. Because, again, if this is a flat, we should go up and get one more high. So let's see if we get that. If not, if we start breaking down, right? If we start breaking down and get an ABC, then we're going to get another high later on, right? Or if it's really, really bad, maybe we have to come back down here and then get a high later on. But either way, we're going to get $8, $9, $10 XRP. It's coming. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to get a big $10, $20 XRP. Maybe even towards the end of the year. We don't know how fast this is going to happen. That's why I think Trump wants to move fast, so that we can rip the Band-Aid off and get it over with. But we still need to do the audits and stuff like that. So it's going to take a little bit of time. But that's why I was saying, hopefully we can get one more wave out of it before we have to go through all of that. Unless we get it now. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm not too sure. That's why we have to look at the small time frames, and just look at the small time frames and get an idea of what it's doing. And so far, I mean, this could still technically be a 1, A, B, C, 2. Is that a 1 and that's a 2 and let's go? I mean, yeah, it could totally be, right? We could be right there ready to go up. So let's see if that's the case. If not, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then that would be 3 down, and then we have 3 up, and then we have 5 down. Or even better, you have 3 down, 3 up, and then 3 back down. So that's a 3-way move. So we have a 1, we have a 2. Let's go up, right? So there is some good stuff. But when we look at the rest of the market, it just doesn't look like there's a bottom coming yet. It still needs a lot of work to come in here. So ADA, you got a nice little support area down here, right? But you have a 3-way move up. You're getting kind of an impulse down. So let's see if we hold. That's good. This week is going to be a big week, so let's see how it plays, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.